Dan, if you will, thank you for coming. We're so happy to have you here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here. I grew up in Fairhaven, New Jersey, and my mom still lives there. And now I live in Middletown. I married my high school sweetheart. And
Fabulous.
Been playing music pretty much my whole life. My parents made me take piano lessons before I was allowed to play guitar. And ever since I got a guitar, 12 years old, I've been in a band ever since, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I went to RFH, and then I went to University of Delaware, majored in psychology. And then I did the restaurant business for a long time. I worked at the Hilton, and then I managed Brennan's Deli in Rumson for many years.
Sure, yeah.
Now I'm the director of contemporary music at Tower Hill Church in Red Bank, and I am in several cover bands in the area. I did an original band for many years, The Wag. I was in that band for about 13 years. We made a lot of CDs, and we opened up for some national acts. And that was a good experience. It really taught me how to rehearse and sing. I really learned to sing in that band. And yeah, and the current bands right now are The Haven, Riptide, and the Danjos, and they're all doing really well. We're very busy in the summer and throughout the year. And I also play in Holiday Express. This past week, I've actually been working on a ton of Christmas music because Holiday Express is about to get started.
Yeah, they're great. You guys are great. That's fabulous stuff.
Yeah, I love that.
You want to explain that to the audience,
sure.
please?
So Tim McClune, who is, among other things, a restaurateur and a great musician, he started this. Gosh, it probably was the 80s. I think late 80s he started. It's a charity, and he gets really good professional musicians from the area to get together. And the phrase is, bring the gift of human kindness to, hospitals and institutionalized individuals. There's a lot of like special needs, children, mental health, that sort of thing. And we go in and we do these concerts, and it brings a lot of joy to them. So it's a wonderful thing to be a part of.
Yeah, no doubt. So, we have, just to get there for a minute, I didn't know all this about your past, obviously. So the educational part, I also went to RFH for a little bit. That's Rumson Fairhaven Regional. We live in Monmouth County, New Jersey. So Dan and I both attended the high school at different times in our life, and also University of Delaware. So go Blue Hens.
That's cool.
I'm a Blue Hen too. So it's fabulous that we have that, similar energy.
Yeah.
So of course, I just want to let the audience know I've been, Dan and I both live in the area, Monmouth County, for all our lives, pretty much. And I've been watching Dan be a fabulous musician, and the bands, as he mentioned to you now, they're very, very popular, and it's been excellent. Dan is I'm going to pull him out up a little bit now, but excuse me, guys. I'm just saying, he's a fabulous lead guitarist and vocalist as well. And there's a lot more to it, so we're going to unwind that a little bit. I do just want to go to something, Dan, that's quite interesting. You started so young, and the piano, can you explain to us and the audience, what that meant for you as you progressed into your now fabulous talent and being a lead guitarist?
Yeah, because I definitely identified guitar as where I wanted to end up. A lot of people have been talking about Ace Frehley this week because he just passed away.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. Kiss was a big deal when I was 5 years old, But my parents they actually said either piano or violin for 2 years because they felt that it would be a good foundation musically. And guess what? They were right. So I took lessons from the organist at the time at Nativity Church where I was being raised.
That's in Fairhaven.
Yeah, in Fairhaven. This guy, Felix Molzer, semi-famous. He came from Vienna. And
wow.
and he taught at the Monmouth Conservatory.
Oh,
So that's where I took lessons from him from about, it was more than 2 years. It ended up being more like 4 or 5.
sure.
But it's much easier in my mind to understand music theory by way of a keyboard rather than a guitar. You can understand the intervals between the notes and the way scales work, and it's just, you can visualize it better on a piano. I had a piano in my house growing up. I have a piano in my house now. My kids grew up with the piano.
Wow.
I made them take piano lessons, and
Sure.
it worked. They're both fabulous musicians, you know. But then at around 12, I actually garbage picked a guitar and brought it home, and I'm figuring out like I'm playing Happy Birthday, and my mom's like, fine, we'll go to the store. We went to Jack's
You
Music.
broke her down.
Yeah. And she bought me this, Strat knockoff, and I started taking lessons from Bob Greco at Musician Studio,
Sure.
and then the rest was, I played it every day. I still play every day.
It's phenomenal because you're a busy man, and we're going to go there in a little bit. I do want to say that in the core energy dynamics, we have 4 concentrations, and that's leadership, well-being, performance, and transition. And we're going to hear a lot of that with Dan today, as you've already begun to do that. We also have these influencers in the core energy dynamics when we break it down, and there's a handful. Everyone's going to get this. It's social, environmental, mental, physical, and spiritual. All of us have. Everything that I've mentioned, we all have. So this is part of what we do here in the podcast. And to have Dan Hunter is very special because he's an extremely accomplished musician, as we're hearing already. We're going to hear more and more. And what he does with music is extremely inspiring. And for me, and I'm sure most of you, music is a very empowering transformation of how we feel inside or what's going on in the world around us, and it speaks for us. And Dan, I just want to bring this up real quick. The 60s, we know how it was sort of conjugated back then as the hippie movement, and it was filled with tremendous music, as you well know. And interesting enough, I believe Nixon at one point signed a legislation explaining that it's not a hippie movement, it's a religious movement. But they're combined. The music was bringing out this push to move away from all that was going on back in the 50s and the ex-Korean War, Vietnam, et cetera, as you well know. And it became defined differently. And I would like to sort of go there with you a little bit. And I want to touch it lightly and then go deeper because we know we're going to go into the beautiful place on the hill in Red Bank. So could you enlighten us a bit about the understanding of music and what it's done for your life and how you've been able to position yourself where you can deliver it to the public as someone like myself and so many others, thousands of others, I have to tell you that, have very well received the music that these guys deliver, and Dan in particular, how that is for you.
I mean, it's my greatest joy. I've always loved music from when I was a little kid. My mom played auto harp when she was pregnant with me.
Oh, wow.
That's the story that, that's how it really got into my DNA.
Yeah.
But even when I was like 5 years old, I'm going into my brother's rooms and stealing their records and
all their vinyls,
listening to their 8-tracks and everything.
Yeah.
So it was so a part of me. And then as I got those first albums and really poured over them, learned every note of everything, and then...
Were you playing the guitar at this point? Were you practicing?
No. Just listening to Boston and the Beatles.
Right, so all about your senses at this point.
Right.
All lightening up.
I just couldn't get enough of it. It was just constant. It was constant. So then when I started playing the music, it was the same thing. My parents would tell me, okay, enough practice. I'd be playing it all the time. So then to be able to share that with people, I can still remember my first 20 live shows, where I got to, present this to people in a live situation. that's always been the best. I mean, I like recording stuff and writing and recording and everything, but the live performance is the best because you can feel it. People can feel it. You can see them react to it in real time, and that's the best, especially with like, you know, the cover bands when you're playing a song that everybody knows and they're getting so into it, and it's sort of like a feedback loop.
Sure.
They're giving it back to you. You're
it's
giving
energy,
it back
right?
to them.
It's energy.
And that's what everyone loves so much about it, you know?
Yeah.
That never gets old for me. It really doesn't.
That's great. So you bring in the, that energy that you put out there comes back to you.
Does
that
case
stimulate
scenario.
you more? Or how
of
is
course,
that?
Yeah. That's the best case scenario when the crowd is really into it and they're loving it and singing back, and you know, we just have such a great time.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. So, as a musician, can you go a little deeper for us and sort of explain a little bit what it is to be a musician? Because you're different from, and in a very good way. You know, I wish I were a musician. In fact, how I got here on the podcast was through Alex, who was a musician, and we met one time and started talking about guitar, and then I said I'd like to pick up the acoustic guitar, and this is just recently, and Alex said, well, you know, can you give me lessons? I said, yeah. I asked him to give me lessons. Yeah, sure. So here we are. We developed into this podcast. So having Dan on is very, very special because music is, at least for us, a big segue into life itself. So Dan, if you don't mind touching on that a little bit, what that means to you, what music does for not yourself, but for others as well, and how your deliverance brings that out.
I think it's a form of escapism, you know.
What do you mean by that? That's great. What's that mean?
Well, because it's like a different place. You're going to a different, like a different, I don't know, almost, it's a different place. It's like a different plane almost, you know.
Sure.
Music is kind of magic when you think about it.
Definitely magic.
And the way it can make people feel, you know, it can bring people to tears. It can make you want to go run 5 miles. You know, all those things. It can make you sad and happy. And I think that's an amazing power to be able to do that.
Definitely.
Is great. I love it. And it still does that to me. Like I can still be brought to tears or want to go run just from hearing, you know, certain music.
Isn't it so interesting all these years, you know, you've been involved in, of course, you're actually executing, you're taking the action of it. So that's fabulous stuff. And we thank you for it because, you know, a lot of us would like to be, or wannabes, you know, whatever you want to call us, that, you know, just are so fascinated by how you're able to deliver such wonderful sound, of course, on the instrument, and then, of course, vocally, and you do both. So, if you will, and I'm going to indulge a little bit here, is the pitching, different pitches that you reach in your guitar, the different levels of sound. How does that come through to you in the way it relates, not just to yourself, but to the audience out there?
Interesting question. I mean, I guess it would depend on what the song was.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because we're multidimensional, so it's not one thing. There's no one answer to this question or any of these questions, right?
Right.
We're multidimensional, so...
There's different scales that I think can tap into different people's emotions. You know, I used to be very more into minor scales, it felt like, but I find myself... Can
you explain minor scales to the audience,
It's just
please?
the different intervals of, you know, it would be more like the blues, you know, that's a minor scale. And I remember one time one of my teachers was like, "Oh, you should try and play in major keys more, you know, like the Allman Brothers or something like that." And I didn't really know who the Allman Brothers were at the time.
Really?
And he really turned me on to that. And I was like, "Oh, this rips." But it's a lot of their stuff is in major keys. And
the blues, based off blues.
Yeah, but not in a minor scale, in a major scale.
Oh, I see. That's where the shift comes from the minor to the major?
It's more uplifting.
Right.
And now I look around and most of the stuff we're playing in a lot of the bands is in major keys because it's more uplifting, I think.
It's that energy, higher energy.
Right. And definitely at church, more major keys. And there's certain notes that you would play in the scale that are very uplifting. And I kind of gravitate towards guitar players who lean into that. Yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm, sure.
I'm a big Fish fan, so
yeah.
Trey, you know, he's really into hitting that.
Fabulous.
The one.
What an
note,
interesting
you know.
band, if I may interject quickly. They have been so strong, so empowering for so long, but a lot of people just don't. You know, Fish. Who's Fish?
Right.
You know,
because they don't have like any major label support or any radio airplay.
They've been very organic the whole way through.
Yeah.
You know, and if they don't mind, you're very organic in many ways that I've been observing all the years I've been watching you. So it's interesting how it is. Some get very commercial. Others, I mean, there's different avenues. And
Yeah.
you know, you obviously know it extremely well, all the different pathways. So, you know, we talked about influences and the energy of influences, and obviously, you know, music is extremely influential for all people, all walks of life. It's really a very wonderful, special thing. And that's why I wanted to tap into you about, you know, the minor, major chords and things of this nature. How does that resonate? And viewing, can you see that happening in the audience where you really... If you're playing the minor, do you need to transition into that major, or vice versa? Or how's that work?
Well, usually you'd stay in it for the whole song. Not always, but there are a couple songs that shift from the minor to the major, and you can feel it change, you know.
Right.
There also needs to be an ebb and flow throughout the show. You can't play all up-tempo, major key songs all night. People get tired.
Right.
They need a little rest, so you have to bring the tempo down. Change keys, you know.
And this is 3 hours of up on, you know.
You can't play everything in A, you know. You got to do some songs in different keys.
You got to keep them going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, certain keys are great. You know, that band called the Black Keys, they're talking about, like, playing in B-flat or E-flat. And you see guitar players use capos in the 3rd fret and everything, and so they can play in B-flat.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful keys.
Yep.
And
glorious.
You know, C major is a beautiful key, and E minor is
And these are some of the
sad.
basic keys I've learned through
Right.
Alex.
Yeah.
And watching you guys, you know, because when I come to the outdoor events in particular, you know, the indoors as well, and we're so lucky here in Monmouth County to have such wonderful venues for music year round. It's really a very special place, and we're very fortunate to have it. And you know, Dan's a big part of the culture. But you know, you're up there for 3 hours. That's a friggin' long time to sit there and, you know, keep people engaged and entertained. So it's interesting to hear you take.
Well, we're lucky. We have a lot of singers in our bands, so we can take turns. So it's
That's
not
the
like
Haven?
I'm singing every song. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the Haven, we have 4 lead singers.
Wow.
And actually in that band, I probably only sing 3 or 4 songs a show anyway.
Right.
Because we really kind of have like a lead singer.
Yeah.
But then even in the Danjos, which is the duo, we take turns singing. But we sing a lot of harmony together. And that's, I think, in all of the bands, kind of what sets us apart is we do a lot of harmony singing.
Yeah, fabulous stuff.
And that, they've done scientific research about, you know...
Here we go.
You know...
Let's go.
Harmony.
Come on.
When you sing harmony with someone in a group, whether it's like a choir or just a few people, it releases endorphins. And people, it's very attractive. People want to hear harmony singing live.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best.
Choirs are a turn on, you know.
Yeah.
You look at, what's it called, AGT, America's Got Talent. A lot more of these choirs are coming out, and they're, you know, getting into those final, you know, quarterfinals, semifinals, all the hype, you know, it's fabulous. But, man, you're right. When they're in tuned, it's really something very, very special.
Yeah.
You know, all of that. So it's that, you know, again, it's that total deliverance of music. Now, you did hit on something, and let's go there for a little bit. So Dan we're fortunate in the area to have a very special place. We call it Up on the Hill. It is called Tower Hill. At that, I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to let Dan go there. And if you will, Dan, take us back to when you first got involved in Tower Hill to present.
Sure. Well, I actually went to preschool there, so that would be my first experience.
Yeah, there we go.
And then everybody in the area used to go sledding there because it was the best sledding ever.
You remember the hill down? That's massive hill. Do you remember when they had the play park there and that gate?
Yeah.
You remember? And it was either you shoot for the gate,
exactly,
or which is risky, or you veer to the left because there was no right.
Now they just have the grass part, so it's a little bit calmer. But yeah. I mean, like I said before, I was raised in Nativity Church, but I married my high school sweetheart. She went to Oceanport.
Excellent.
Like Alex, and but she also was raised in Tower Hill Church. So when we got married, we decided that was going to be our church. And we were raising our kids there, and great church, always had a great youth program, great music program. And the pastor at the time, Pastor Teresa, this is in 2011, said, "Oh, hey, can you lead a rock band, in church?" And I said, "Sure."
That's unheard of. How does that come about?
I mean, it's not unheard of in the South, but around here, it's not as common.
Right. Yep.
So I said, "Sure. Tell me what the songs are." I didn't even know any, contemporary Christian songs. So she gave me a list, and we started the band, and I was lucky enough to have 2 drummers and 2 bass players when I started out, and a nice little batch of volunteers to get the band going.
This is in church.
Yeah.
Here on, as you pointed out.
Drum set and, electric guitars, and so, it was really different. And so we got started, and it was successful right away, but it wasn't until the current pastor, Jason Tucker, came. He really has a background of contemporary music and church revitalization. He really got the ball rolling with some new equipment.
So he felt the energy and the vision?
Oh, yeah.
So was Teresa's vision initially with collaboration with you?
Yeah, we got it started, and then Jason showed up about a year later.
So now it's a 3-way collaboration.
Oh, yeah.
So to speak.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so he was the perfect person to mentor me in that role of worship leader because he had done it before. He's a musician himself. He's made CDs. He's toured the country.
Oh, yeah. Fabulous.
And so he kind of brought me along. And like I said, we upgraded the equipment. The service grew. We moved it from the fellowship hall into the sanctuary. It continued to grow. And
at what rate did it grow so the audience can understand how
we're in the top 1% of growing churches in America.
Whoa, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Holy cow, really?
And
congratulations,
we're
that is
the biggest
huge.
Presbyterian church in New Jersey.
That part, I didn't know in the U.S.
And so it's just...
Holy cow.
It's just going, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Why is that? So we understand why that is.
I mean, part of it is that Jason is a gifted preacher. He really is. The experience you'll have there, it's not like regular church. It feels kind of like a non-denominational church.
Right. He's not pounding.
No, he's just a guy, He's like me and you. He's raising his kids in this community. He doesn't beat you over the head with anything.
Right.
He uses PowerPoint. We show videos. It's a rock band, which has continued to get better and better and better. So now I have all these pros. The band has like 40 people in it.
Wow.
We have really good singers, really good players, and it's great. We had 180 kids in Sunday school the other day.
Woohoo!
And
180 churches are receding.
Yeah,
as we know, and they have been receding for quite some time. I don't know the exact number. You probably know better than I, but it's been over a decade.
Oh, it's been decades. Yeah,
decades,
sure.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and COVID was really tough for a lot of churches. We actually benefited from COVID because we got our whole online game together, and that's important. We say it's the new front door of the church. Somebody's going to check out a church, they're going to watch you online first. then they're going to come.
Really? Is that how it is? Huh?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And so we have pretty good streaming numbers. I mean, we have, I think it was like 300 devices watched us last Sunday.
Nice.
We just count the devices. We don't count people. So
Sure. Yeah. Kind of where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So between the online numbers and the people in person, we're worshiping like close to 1,000 people a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, it's great.
I know that, from watching and, being involved a bit in the membership is the explosiveness of the youth group is just phenomenal.
Yes. And it's the best it's been in 20 years because, I did some, when we were first married, my wife and I, we did that ministry. We were like youth group advisors and it was great. And things ebb and flow. And right now they're on fire. They're getting over 50 high school kids every Wednesday night and they're really into it. I mean, they want to be there.
I see that. And obviously the numbers, tell the tale. Interesting that Teresa, stepped out of the so-called norm, if you will. And as you pointed out, it's, more of this attitude is received down south, but it's here now on the Upper East Coast. And you guys have really announced it, pronounced it, is what you're doing up there on the stage for sure. And I have watched people come into the building that I know come from different cultures of religion. So in the Core Energy, just to put it out, the Core Energy experience, we don't focus too much on religion nor politics, for sure, no politics. Religion, this is a little different today with Dan because we're talking about the spirituality of music and what it does for us and what it's done for the culture here in this area. And we're hoping that it's going to continue and spread. So Dan, if you will, tell us from when you first got that call to come in and your thoughts about how you might help develop it to where it is today.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was going to get this big. I thought it was just going to be this other thing that I did,
What you do naturally.
Right. I will say that leading worship is different, though, than playing other gigs because you're not trying to be the star. I heard a great analogy. It's like, if you're at a birthday party and you're the musician, a lot of times some people will like look to you to start the song. Okay, it's time to sing. And you're the singer in the room.
Right.
But you're not going to make it a moment, for yourself because
you're not selfish, to your
you're
point.
not the one who's being celebrated.
Right.
And it's the same thing at church. You have to have a lot of humility to lead worship. You can't make it about yourself. You want to be a conduit. It's the congregation who's worshiping God.
Right.
You're just facilitating.
You're the traveler.
Yeah.
Music's part of that traveling aspect.
I feel like I was made for it. It sits right with me, like it.
That's wonderful. How does that feel for you?
Amazing. It's to feel like my life's purpose finally realized.
There we go. Purpose.
Yeah.
Bingo. It's so important for us, right? It's that purpose because
I didn't understand all the steps to get here in real time. Now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, now I get it.
So you took courage, I suppose, to step out and make those steps, try those steps.
I mean, I wanted to do all that anyway. It was making music, and
it was in you.
Yeah, it was what
Teresa found the right person.
To do. She did. I mean, I was definitely made to do this. It's great.
That's fabulous to hear. Not many of us in any business, in any part of what we do in life can feel really whole and at peace from what I'm hearing from you, and certainly seeing you up there on the different stages. I'm fortunate enough to see Dan in action in the public and, his different bands, but also at Tower Hill, which, I'm fortunate to attend. And I hadn't been, I've gone through different denominations of religion. Again, this is not our focus here, but And, from the temple to Catholicism, all of it. But I have to say, when I went back and I walked into the Hill, now I had heard about you guys, playing up there, and I was like, wait a second. Even myself had not experienced that before. After traveling through these different areas of religious understandings, and just said, I was baptized, Presbyterian. I got to go back, and what the heck is going on at Tower Hill? I mean, it's a holy cow! It's all these, the youth and the vibrancy of having that happen, and to walk in. So it's about, and Dan's going to help me out here, but you go in about 10, 15 minutes before the actual orchestration of the execution of the sermon coming along, is the rock bands up there. Now, imagine, guys, and everyone, I'm sure, some of you have experienced that. For me, it was sort of a newish. For this area, it was definitely new, as you're hearing. To walk in and to hear this rock music, it's like, whoa, wait a second, what is this? To segue into you.
Yeah, well, so we kind of fell into this where we do these preludes while people are gathering. We're trying to play music that they'll like. It doesn't necessarily have to be the religious music that we're going to play during the service. So we started picking some songs that might have some, good messages, or that you could look at in a certain way that might think like, oh, well, maybe they were talking about Jesus,
Yeah, sure. Without it actually being pronounced.
Right, yeah. So we'll do
subliminal stuff that you guys are doing.
We do like Love Song by The Cure. Whenever I'm alone with you, I feel like I'm whole again. That could have been written about Jesus,
Sure.
But people are digging on us playing The Cure in church, Or we'll have, like this week we're doing Dreams by the Cranberries.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's fabulous.
And then we play some other music, I always put an instrumental in there. And so this week the instrumental is just a blues progression that goes around and around, and then the 4 different members of the band take turns soloing. So I go first, then the other guitar player, then we have a fiddle player this week, and then the piano player. And everybody can kind of improvise over that chord progression. And, if you don't seek out live music, you may never see that, where people are just trading licks and jamming.
Love it.
And so people go nuts for that when we're just doing these instrumentals beforehand. And it gets people ready for the service, gets them excited. And I got a big list of preludes. One time, Pastor Jason asked us to do Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, yeah?
So we did that. And that's a rockin' tune.
Yes.
But it's like, when you think of the message of the song, it's like messianic, and
Definitely.
So I'm very fortunate that I get to do guitar solos for Jesus on a regular basis.
Yeah, there you go. How unique and special is that?
Yeah. And I will say also that I don't lead worship the way it's done typically around the country. Like, I just went to a conference.
How define that? How is that around the country? What do you mean?
Sure. I mean, so a lot of times, like if you would go into a contemporary church, with a band.
Anywhere you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, they have one in Old Bridge. They're around. Maybe the guy's playing acoustic guitar, or he's just singing, or she is just singing and not necessarily playing an instrument,
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a different vibe, whereas I'm always playing an electric guitar.
Yeah, man. Cool.
And I kind of run my worship band like a Jersey Shore bar band, because that's kind of what I know how to do. And it works. That's where we are, playing to your zip code, as they say.
Cool.
I'm not going to do a country thing, although I do like the country stuff. And a lot of the artists who are writing the songs that we're playing live in Nashville now.
Really?
Yeah, or Franklin, Tennessee.
So that's your calling. Your recent calling is more country.
I mean, it's that's just what's happening in the music that's coming out is being influenced by country, because they all live in Nashville. So
is that the morph of it, because they're all concentrated down there?
I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's more of a country influence on these certain bands that are putting out Bethel, Elevation Worship, Hillsong. There's more of a country influence than there was, say, 10 years ago.
Right.
But the writing has come a long way, so the contemporary Christian music is better than it ever has been. And there's 2 major radio stations right now, 99.9, which is the Star, but also K-Love, which is PLJ. And
wow, they stepped out, huh?
Yeah, so that's a nationally syndicated station, and you hear this stuff. I know the songs, so I hear them all the time on like NBC Sports when they're going out to commercial. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that was David Crowder. They're playing this, and there's been some crossover stuff. Lauren Daigle had that big song that got a lot of regular radio airplay,
sure.
And then the latest one is. What is it? Hard Fought Hallelujah by Brandon Lake, but Jelly Roll did a version of it. So
he's gotten big, huh?
Yeah. So
he's really out there.
That stuff is it's we're in a moment right now, for sure, with the music, but also church attendance is through the roof. Gen Z is going to church more than the generations before them. They're seeking it.
Yep. You just loaded us up for a bunch more interesting conversation. Let's touch on Jelly Roll for a minute. Obviously, we know his story, and if we don't, it's a very interesting story. Please look into it. And what he sings, that one song where he talks about bloodline, and everyone's going to relate to this. If we have siblings. We certainly know how that might be very influential, and we're all different people. This is part of the understanding of core energy and the dynamics of it. But with Jelly, gosh, God bless him. He's come through a lot of his trials and tribulations in life, and he's out there singing about it. And this is part of what you guys are, do over at the Hill, if we will. But with that being said, the movement of what he says, the understanding that, even though we are siblings, doesn't mean that we have to stay within our bloodline. We are individuals. We're all very different, right? That happens in all family dynamics. We all sort of scratch our head because as we're children, we're brought up to be, a complete family, however that is. If it's just one child, it's 2 parents, or however it is. We all know family dichotomy can be very interesting and dynamic in different ways. But Jelly has really put on some really interesting information out there. And I'd like you to discuss with us what you think the culture of the language has gone from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s into the 10s to the 20s. If you could kind of wrap that up for us. I know it's a loaded question, Dan, but you're certainly, I know you're good with it. So,
you mean around music, or?
Yeah, all music, yeah. And the message of it.
Yeah, the industry has changed a lot. And there's so many genres now.
Why is that, you think?
Well, I guess people, or maybe I'm just more aware of them.
Yeah, right.
But there has been new genres, like jam bands that's one of my favorites, but that's a whole genre now where it used to just be a couple bands, or the subdivisions of metal.
Right.
There's all different kind of, speed metal, death metal, rap metal, hair metal,
the moshing pits and things. I mean, that was a total extreme for me. I'm like, wait, we must be pivoting, for into that moshing energy and whatnot. But anyway, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm always fascinated by the industry behind it and how that's changed. Like a magazine like Rolling Stone used to be so powerful.
Oof, huge.
And they decided
that was a Bible, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
Rolling
it really
Stone.
was. And that's faded. That's not necessarily the case, obviously, with the internet and.
But you can still take the content and put it on the internet. But
Sure.
interesting is lost, to your point. It's kind of lost its oomph, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and there used to be all these record companies, and then now there's only like 4.
Right.
So the state of top 40 is not great in my mind, and hasn't really been for the last 15 years. You really have to, if you're a music fan, you have to intentionally go after what you want, because you're not going to hear it necessarily on the radio.
Sure.
And we're lucky we have the Brookdale station. 90.5 is a great station.
They are. They're very progressive. They've been progressive for some years.
Yeah,
as you know.
and they play all sorts of things, which is great. I like college radio anyway. I like Latin music.
Wow.
I listen to a lot of different things. And I feel like, people are so sheltered from different kinds of music unless, like I said, they're intentional about going after it,
You really think that's it now? Part of the turnkey is to be intentional, go finding the music that you want to engage in, as opposed to, I guess, many years ago, from what I'm hearing, the underlying here is that we were just given what we were given. That was it, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I was probably ignorant to a lot of these genres, because I was just listening to WNEW or whatever was on the radio, or whatever my brothers were playing. That was a huge influence.
Sure.
Bring the sibling things back to they planted the seeds of what I started listening to.
Of course.
In the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then, but the format changes have been huge. And this is something my pastor always talks about when he's talking about churches moving forward, because churches always say, well, this is what we've always done. Well, you're still listening to vinyl. The rest of the world has gone to cassette, an 8-track, and then CD, and now we're all digital.
Now we're talking transition, right, babe? I mean, that's
and so the music industry is totally different. Nobody makes money off the recorded thing anymore. They're making it off the shows.
Right.
That's why one of my favorite bands, Rush, went on sale last week, and you can't get in the building for less than $400.
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
And years ago, it was like, I don't know, 50 or whatever the ticket was.
I think it was like 15 the first time I saw them in the 80s.
Right.
But that whole model is different now. It's very hard to make, Spotify only pays their artists fractions of pennies. And you can go back to Napster or whatever, Radiohead giving their music away for free. Like they devalue the recorded, but the result is the live performance is where all the value is now.
Yeah,
you can look at Taylor Swift or
Energy,
other people, Springsteen. However much money he's making per ticket.
Yeah.
I knew people who went to Europe to see Springsteen because it was cheaper than seeing him in New Jersey.
Isn't that insane? That is happening. To point that out, it's very interesting that they can demand such dollar figure for their their tickets and get it. And so that's the conversation, Dan, I'd like to get into. But not so deeply right now. Another time, you and you'll come on and we'll talk about the commercialization of and the monetization of music. But today, I think let's just stay with the understanding of what music is, how it transcends us, how it speaks for us, the spirituality of it all. This is part of your core, and certainly all of us as part of our core. Music is really it for us. And you hear people now, they're the younger couples who are pregnant. The guys are more engaged than the women too, and they're putting headphones on the belly so that the baby in there can feel the vibe. All this really interesting things are happening based around music. And, it's just such an empowering vehicle, and it's been going on for centuries, as you know, and you're just so fabulous at bringing it out. And thank you for what you've been doing for the community, and thank you and Jason, and of course, Teresa, who I know is now making her own transition. But you guys are in constant transition in the business of music. So let us know what it's like to go from the setting of the Hill into when you walk into a open arena at one of the local venues, the bars in the river or the ocean side. How is that for you, that transition? Because you're always in transition.
I mean, it's great that the two worlds collide constantly.
Yeah.
People are, the people who see me at church and then the people who see me in the bars are cross-pollinating all the time. Yeah. I have that conversation almost every gig. Like, oh, you're that guy from church, you know, or
that guy,
or at church people say like, oh, where are you playing this weekend or something like that, you know. So they kind of feed into each other, you know.
That's the energy of it, right? I mean, you're feeling the energy.
I mean, they really.
Do you play to the energy? I mean,
yeah, for sure. And you know, the example I would say in the band, the Danjos, the duo, John O'Neill and myself.
Sure.
We never have a set list. And so we show up.
That's great.
It is great because you can read the room. We look around, like kind of gauge what's the average age. You know, is this millennials or are they Gen Xers? You know, and then we'll decide what we want to play.
Wow.
Which is great because, and then we'll see how stuff goes over. Like, oh, that didn't really go over. Let's try a country song, you know?
Oh, you totally switched it, right?
Yeah, and then oh, they seem like they really want to dance, or everybody's eating dinner, you know, so you can react, you can feel the energy in the room. What's working musically?
What's this? One of the signals? Remember, multidimensional. So, excuse me. What's one of the signals that gives you that? Okay, I'm interpreting what the energy is.
Right. Well, obviously, if somebody started dancing, but
right.
If people film us, because that happens a lot, people take out their phone and and make a little video. And it's funny. I've noticed that with the advent of the reel, people really want to get the beginning of the song or the chorus,
right?
Because it's a 20-second video they're going for, so they'll scan around the beautiful sunset that's happening because we play a lot of gigs on the water.
Yeah,
and everything,
gorgeous stuff, great stuff. Yeah.
And then they'll get us singing the chorus of whatever song it is, and that's going to be their reel. You know, they're going to show people, this is what I'm doing. I'm in this beautiful situation, you know, this sunset on the water, and people are playing this great music, and
they're becoming artists in themselves.
Yeah. So again, a different format.
Sure, of course.
Even the reel didn't exist 5 years ago or something.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
People ingest, you know, music and everything else, media, in a different way. It's constantly changing.
Yeah. That's all that transition that we're constantly going through. You know, it's It's sort of this, we profess in the core energy, the dynamics is it's the awareness first, the acceptance of, the validation of what's going on, which gives us opportunity, right, to go into choice. Now, we profess to take conscious choice over just choice, that knee-jerk reaction choice, which brings us into, you know, trusting our process or whatever that is. And with that, we're open up, we're ready to go into the transition, which is going to lead us into the transformation, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, you've been explaining today a lot of that without speaking those words, and it's fabulous that to be able to engage, gosh, you know, we admire you musicians so much, you know, you're very valuable, and it's so interesting, you know, and if I may, I'd be careful here because we're not about judgment. You are so talented. You're so creative, and your concentration is not about being selfish. It's really not about yourselves. Albeit, of course, in the industry you're going to have that, but we're talking with you now, and how you've been delivering since you were a young child, the understanding of music, how you knew it then, and constantly transitioning it and transforming yourself into, you know, where you are now, and the tremendous things that you have helped do for the community up on the Hill. And to see the younger generation now, which I've never seen since you and I were younger, you know, we were involved then, it dissipated as we've discussed over the years, and now to see the emphasis of that, you know, music again is here to save the soul.
Yeah, feels like that.
Doesn't it, in a way?
It does, yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no one way to put it, Dan, as you know. There's no silver bullet to anything because we're multidimensional. But the beauty of, you know, the music, and even as a listener who's not a participant in the art of it like you guys are, fine art, I like to use fine art because it is really very special in that way, is that, we have, as you mentioned, we have the availability now to sort of go through, choose different genres, what we feel is, resonates with us. Mm-hmm. And not only that, is the collaboration of listening to the music. You know how that is? So let's go there for a little bit, about how we sort of collaborate in the music industry, of how you guys operate, bring it to the public, to us, and how we become one. So we go from, if you permit me, the me, mm-hmm. to the we,
yeah,
to the us.
Well, I'll tell you about the way the Haven started, because it was really quite remarkable. In 2011, they were doing a benefit show for the Keith McKeffey Foundation.
Sure. Yeah.
And so Keith passed away in 9/11, and his friends got together and made this foundation. They would have it was a race. It was a 5K. And
foot race.
Yeah, in Seabright. And at the time, they had the after party at the Mad Hatter. And this is pre-Sandy, so the old Mad Hatter was still there.
Great place.
And so Jeff White, he was good friends with Keith, and he was on the board of that foundation. And I knew him from school. He was a couple years older than me, and they wanted to put together a band for that party, just a one-off. And so he got his friend Jeff Nicholas, who was also 2 years older than me in school. We all went to RFH, though. And then finally John O'Neill, who's 6 years older than me, but also an RFH guy. So,
I didn't know that, really?
Yeah.
All of you guys.
We all went to Fairhaven schools. We all had John Frank as a music teacher.
Yes, know the name.
And so he put this band together just for this one event. And we had Jeff's uncle, Tom White, with us, and then also Bobby Bandiera played with us that day.
So they're part of the original cult.
Yeah, I have the recording of that, which is pretty cool.
That's great. And
then it was a day-long festival, so I was in another band called Salvavidas with this guy, John Amabile, and he sat in. We ended up jamming at the end of the night, and we were turning around. We're like, boy, there's something here. This is great. We only had one practice, but there's a chemistry. We all felt that there was a chemistry between the five of us.
Beautiful.
So we decided to start the band, The Haven. And that was 15 years ago. It's still the same five people.
Holy cow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
It does. And we enjoy collaborating with each other, and we understand where we're all coming from. We don't always agree, but we agree a lot.
Well, we're individuals.
Yeah.
And that's part of the beauty of the collaboration and the co-creating, which you guys are constantly doing.
I think there's a bit of healthy tension.
Sure. Why not?
Which definitely, but we have some common things. We love to play live. We're interested in the same kind of music. We try and play the B-sides. We don't want to play the most obvious song by those bands that we're doing, but we've maintained the joy throughout these 15 years. I think that's probably the most important thing.
Huge word.
We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then we started these side projects. John and I went off and started the Danjos, and John Amabile plays a lot of solo stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's, once we got in front of a crowd, oh boy, it was like electric.
It still is, to your point. 15 years later, you all have a little segue to different, bands, if you will, or however you go out there. But the Haven itself in particular says a lot. And the community is so engaged, as you all know. Of course, growing up here like we both have, and, all the members of the band, we have very similar, even though we're, our stages in life are different, so to speak. We still have that capture of understanding one another because we have similarities. We have friends that are, similar at different points. Like, of course, Tom White is he's a bit ahead of us, but I've been following him since I was a young boy.
Sure.
And I think
he's been a staple in this community of musicians. Yeah. Bruce mentioned him in his book.
Yes. Yeah, can you imagine?
And then, another band that everybody always talks about is Line Drive.
Of course, I remember Line Drive.
We're playing a gig with Rick Brunemer tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations! That's fabulous.
He's great. So it feels like full circle, you know.
Yeah.
Brian Kirk, you know, we're gonna warm up for Brian at his Basie show, the Christmas show this year.
Oh, I'm fabulous to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, perhaps I'll go this year.
Yeah. So I mean, Brian's been doing this. You know, he's sort of like the gold standard around here. He's been doing it for 30 years. We've been watching, you know, back in those days of Donovans and Tradewinds and all that stuff.
Sure.
We've always enjoyed not just making live music, but going to and enjoying it, you know.
Well, you know, your energy has certainly, to your point, circumvented. We can hear that. But in that circumvent, you have brought so many people into the circle, so to speak, if you will. And, you know, it's you've built your success posse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's you on your own growing up, and then, of course, your surrounding peers in the business, in the you know, the environment of art and music. And then look how it's matriculated to the point where now you've met Jason, and you and Jason, with the push of Teresa, bless her, have created this beautiful atmosphere for the youth. And here in the Core Energy experience, we like to really concentrate on younger generations and what you have been doing to keep all generations together. You know, I think, Dan, you know this. You see the audience. You know your audience well. Wherever we go, whatever venue it might be, forget about up on the hill, not just on the hill, but you see younger generations with the older generations out, you know, enjoying a beverage or not, or just enjoying the music, the beautiful venues that you guys play at. So we're so fortunate being in this area to have so many different people that are involved in the music industry, and now have, you know, delivered so much, and that you yourself and your inner circle success posse, as we like to call it, have brought in the younger generations to such an exorbitant numbers, as we mentioned earlier here today. So, well, we'd like to thank you for all that, Dan. It's really been very special.
Thank you.
It's it really is, and I hope that. I don't know what you see in the future about it all, but I certainly would support you guys going wherever you may with it, to reach out to the younger generations, to give them the option, right? It's not that push. It's not shove it down the throat. And I want to be easy with my language here a little bit, but you know, it's not the insistence that it's got to be this way in whatever denomination people are in, and it's not about that, because we are all born with our own spirituality.
Yeah, no, we want them to choose it.
Yeah, of course. And you've given the vehicle to do that. And to have our own spirituality is so empowering. And it's interesting how part of that comes in different ways to us by different means of our senses: taste, touch, smell, vision, hearing, you know, whatever it might be. And music seems, for me in all my life, has always been the go-to for whatever mood or place I may be in. It's so moving. It's so impactful. So we thank you, musicians, that come all the way out the way you have, and particularly continue to do it. So tell us, we're getting ready to sign off here a little bit. I'm going to ask you one more question after this, but before we do that, so tell us how you see the music world continuing to develop and your place in it.
Well, locally, I would say more of the same. Everything's going great. So
good.
Just more of the same. And, you know, we have very good relationships with the other musicians in the area. I don't know if it was always like that. It feels like there might have been more competition.
Definitely.
But, you know, we're really good friends with 10 String and the Sheep Herders and
Pam McCoy, Lisa Sherman. I think the list is endless.
Like whether it's the Holiday Express crew, I know a ton of people through that. But
massive.
We support one another, and
so let's just touch on the Holiday Express crew before we go to the last question here. Explain to the community where you guys go, what that delivers.
Yeah, so we're doing concerts in like institutions like where people like are special needs, or like a mental health situation, or there's soup kitchens, all sorts of different things, but it's all volunteer, and you sign up. They do 100 gigs a year between November 1st and Christmas. So it's multiple on, certain days.
But you're serving the whole time.
Yeah, and it's definitely the Lord's work. There's no doubt. It's not an overtly religious thing.
No.
But
it's a conglomerate of everything.
Yeah, it's great. And they have major corporate sponsorship, but it's great. You walk into a gig, one day you're playing with Pat Guadagno, next day you're playing with Pam McCoy or Carl Gentry.
Right. Even Geegan's gotten in the mix a little bit.
Some stellar players and singers. It's super fun. Yeah. I get a lot out of it, and I just signed up for, I think, like 13 last night. So
wow,
I've
good
been
for you.
Doing a lot of practice.
Thank you for
and
that
stuff. Oh my gosh, it's such a blessing in my life
to see you guys go and deliver into the hospitals and the special needs area and whatnot, and see the joy it brings. Again, music is so moving at any age, any stage.
And some of these people will never hear a live band ever.
Right.
And it's such a powerful experience to hear a live band, and it's always pro sound, and there's horn sections, and it's like, what a band,
Sure.
So that's an incredibly fulfilling thing that I get to do.
Yeah.
And I will thank Carl Gentry's the guy who got me in.
Oh, is he?
And because you need there's an audition process, or you need a recommendation. So,
but of course.
and then you have to learn. It's not like easy music to play. You really have to put your time in to learn the material.
Well, it's almost like a choir and instrumental action. I mean, there's a lot going on. There is a choir. There's everything going on.
He wanted to make it challenging so that the musicians would be interested in doing it.
Sure.
And there's not a lot of gigs on like gig days. Like we don't go out on Friday and Saturday nights because all these people are working.
Sure.
Because it's mostly professional musicians.
Yeah.
So it's like Monday morning, Tuesday morning, that kind of thing, which is great. So I'm looking forward to that season. And then, with the other bands, the place we live in has so many gigs in just a small area. There's great. So many places to play.
Fabulous.
We're really, really lucky, especially in the summer. We play all the beach clubs and the restaurants on the water. And we're already booking for next summer.
Are you already?
Yeah.
Here we are, October.
Yep, that
great.
process has already started.
That's fabulous. So, you brought us a long way here today, Dan, and we're very grateful for it. And I know the audience has been enjoying it and eating it up. We have, certainly. And Alex and I are very grateful for having you 100%. So, before we sign off, I would just like to present you with one last question. You have delivered so much goodness to the world in so many ways, and that's part of who Dan is, and we thank you for that 100%. And actions are where it is, right? Words are great, but we have to back up our words through actions, and you're a man of that. You're a man of many things that we aspire to, and we thank you for it. So now, in this moment, the question is, you are a white sheet. You're a blank piece of paper. What would Dan like to see for the world in this moment going forward?
Oh, peace, unity. We're in a scary time right now, especially in this country where we feel very divided. So I'd like to get back to a feeling of more unified as a country. Yeah.
Can music help us?
Yeah, I think so. We're not all listening to the same music.
That's okay. That's okay.
But you
talked about being diverse in music,
right? Absolutely, it can help.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
that's fabulous. Well, thank you again for your time.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
Yeah, you've been awesome, Dan. We hope to have you back sometime soon, and we will, and that'll be fabulous. So, everybody, audience, thank you so much for being on today with us. Been very fortunate to have Dan here and to delve deeply into what music means, not only to Dan, but to the world that he delivers it to. And we're very fortunate to have him here and to continue to do so. And as you heard, there are a lot of things that he's done and more to come forward. So again, thank you all for attending. Dan, before we sign off, is there some way you'd like to express to the audience where they can reach you at any moment for any reason?
Oh, sure. I mean, well, I'm on the website at towerhillchurch.org. You can always get me there. And then my bands have websites, the Danjos.com and the havenband.com. You can find out where we're playing through both of those places.
That's great. Thank you. Well, there you have it, audience. So thank you again for attending. We appreciate your time and your energy. And certainly we would appreciate it if you like and subscribe to the Core Energy Experience. Alex and I are very thankful for all of it. And we look forward to seeing you again in our next episode. So remember, your mind is your power. Stay empowered.